Hey there everybody. So welcome to another episode of Kitchen Tales with Flute. Today we're going to focus on mental enrichment and why it is so important for your dogs. And the recipes we're going to create today is going to be focused around that. Firstly, let's start with mental enrichment. Just like us humans who constantly need something to grab our attention and to kind of tire our brains out, it's the same for our pets also. So they need to be constantly engaged and mentally enriched so that by the end of the day, they feel tired and then they can rest and relax. So we have different mental enrichment tools which we will use today. 1, a licky mat. 2, a slow feeder bowl. And 3 is a snuffle box. So let's start off with our first recipe, which uses the humble old licky mat. So for this recipe, you just need a licky mat, maybe a few gravy toppers from Sploot, as well as some dahi, and that's all you need to create a good recipe for mental enrichment. So let's start off by first taking the licky mat and placing it on the ground, and then we can take a little bit of dahi. First, let's start off by placing the licky mat on the floor and then pouring a little bit of our gravy toppers onto the licky mat. There's no exact way of pouring it, you can just pour it however you want, and just make sure you spread it around nice and evenly so that the ingredients kind of get under the grooves of the licky mat. We can also add a little bit of dahi if your dog prefers it, although I understand there are some breeds which generally don't like dahi, so it's a complete preference based option. So once you've poured the contents of the dahi and the gravy toppers onto the licky mat, all you have to do is just spread it around so that it kind of gets into the grooves of the licky mat, and so your dog actually spends some time trying to actually clean up the licky mat. So essentially this is how you exactly do it. And yeah, so once you spread out the contents onto the licky mat and make sure it's nice and even, you can just serve it to your dog as is, or you can choose to either keep it in the fridge for a bit so that it gets nice and cold, and it should keep your dog occupied for the next 20 to 30 minutes as they clean up this whole licky mat. So let's go to the slow feeder. Moving on to the next recipe. So we're going to use a slow feeder bowl, and this is how it generally looks. And the idea behind a slow feeder bowl is that it has grooves and depressions in the bowl itself, so which actually makes it very difficult for your dog to kind of reach in and eat all the ingredients in a few bites, as we can see in certain hyperactive dogs such as golden retrievers, which are more than happy to get their meals. So this should they spend some time trying to reach for the treats, and they eat the contents of the slow feeder bowl slowly, so they digest the food better and they also mentally enrich as they do so. So what we do is we just take a simple slow feeder bowl such as this from Sploot. We take a bag of treats, veg or non-veg depending upon your preference, and we just take a handful of treats and we just kind of pour it onto the slow feeder bowl slowly so that they get nice and into the grooves, as we can see here. And then that's all you have to do. You just have to serve it to your pet, and they should be engaged with this for the next 15 to 20 minutes as they try to clean up all the treats in it.